My name is Arthur Finch, and I need to start by saying I never thought I would be the type of person to tell a story like this. I'm 62 years old. I spent 40 years of my life as an architect, a man who deals in blueprints, physics, and solid foundations.
Logic and reason have been the tools of my trade and the cornerstones of my life. So when I tell you that I died and I met Jesus, I want you to know that the man telling you this is the same man who, just a few months ago, would have listened to a story like this with a polite but deeply skeptical smile. And yet here I am. Because what he said to me in that place beyond life absolutely blew my mind. He showed me that Donald Trump is about to face a very deep, very spiritual challenge, a choice that is directly related to what the Bible calls the Great Tribulation. Now, before you scroll past or jump to any conclusions, let me say this as plainly as I can. I am not here to tell you what to think politically. I voted for different parties throughout my life. My concern has always been about character and common sense, not political colors. I am here because I have been shown something that transcends politics, something that I was told I must share. I believe I was sent back for this very purpose. So before we begin, if you feel so led, just say Amen in the comments. Because what I am about to share with you today may very well change the way you see the days ahead. It certainly changed everything for me. I've always loved God. My wife, Alina, and I raised our 2 kids in the church. We believe, but the wild, speculative doomsday prophecies you see online. They always seemed a little far-fetched, a little too theatrical for my taste. I'm an architect. I need to see the structure, the plan. Vague predictions and sensationalism always made me raise my eyebrows and move on. My life was simple, grounded, and down to earth. Me, Alina, and the quiet joy of our retirement in our small Ohio town. Our 2 grown kids, one in Chicago and one in Denver, would call when they could, their lives full and busy. I spent my days in my workshop, tinkering with old clocks and helping Alina in her garden. It was a good life, a peaceful life, and I wasn't ready for it to be interrupted, not until it actually happened. It started with something so ordinary, a persistent fatigue that I just couldn't shake. In the beginning, I just blamed it on getting older. I'm not 30 anymore, Ellie, I'd say with a laugh as I sat down heavily after an hour of yard work. But by the 2nd week, it was more than just tiredness. A deep rattling cough settled in my chest, and a low-grade fever clung to me day and night. Alina, who knows me better than I know myself, saw the worry I was trying to hide. "Arthur, you're not yourself," she said one evening, her hand on my forehead. "You're burning up." The next morning, she didn't ask. She told me we were going to see Dr. Miller, our family doctor for over 20 years. He's a no-nonsense man, much like myself. He ran some blood tests, did a chest x-ray, and his usually calm face looked tense, like an engineer looking at a blueprint that just doesn't add up. "Arthur," he said, his voice carefully neutral, "there's something here I don't like. I need you to go to the hospital for some more comprehensive scans." The hospital smelled of bleach and a quiet, underlying fear. It's a smell you never get used to. They admitted me right away. I was hooked up to machines that beeped and hissed, a constant, unnerving symphony of my body's struggle. The doctors moved quickly, too quickly. Their voices were low, speaking in clipped sentences filled with medical jargon they thought we couldn't understand, as if trying not to scare us. But you can always tell, you can see it in their eyes. "It's progressing rapidly," I heard a young resident say to a specialist just outside my door, thinking I was asleep. "The antibiotics aren't touching it, his lungs are filling up." They told us it was a severe, aggressive pneumonia that had triggered sepsis. My organs were beginning to fail. All I knew in the simplest terms was that my body, this machine I had lived in for 62 years, was giving up on me. Alina sat by my bed day and night, a constant, loving presence in the sterile room. Her hand was almost always clasped in mine. I watched her pray silently, her lips moving without a sound, her brow furrowed with a mixture of faith and desperation. I could see the tears she was trying so hard to hide welling up in her eyes. I wanted to tell her I'd be okay, to squeeze her hand with my old strength, but I was too weak. My throat was too dry, my voice was a useless whisper. Then it happened. It was late at night. The only light was the cold glow from the monitors. The room began to dim around the edges, as if someone were slowly turning down the lights of my consciousness. The frantic, high-pitched beeping of the heart monitor slowed, and then settled into a single, long, monotonous tone. I felt a sudden sense of relief, a release from the struggle. I felt as if I were floating. I looked down and I saw myself. My body pale and still, lying on the hospital bed. Alina was there, her head bowed over our joined hands, her body shaking with silent sobs. A nurse was rushing in, her movements no longer frantic, but somber and deliberate. I thought, so this is it, this is the end. I expected darkness, maybe silence, like falling into a deep, dreamless sleep from which I would not wake. But then I felt something else, a warmth. It began to spread through my new, weightless form, drawing me gently, lovingly, closer. It was a strange and paradoxical feeling, being untethered, like I was nowhere and everywhere at the same time, a silent observer to the most significant event of my own life. And then a voice so soft, but it cut through the grief and the clinical sounds of the room. It spoke not to my ears, but to my very spirit. Arthur, the voice said. My name, wrapped in a gentleness so profound it made my soul ache with a feeling of being truly, completely known. Whoever was speaking knew me, not just the architect, not just the husband and father, but the very core of me. And they were calling me forward. The light, which had been a distant point, grew brighter and brighter, but it didn't blind me. It was a living light that surrounded me, warm and steady and safe. And then, standing within the heart of the light, I saw him. It was Jesus. I don't know how I knew. There was no name tag, no sign. I just knew, with a certainty that was more real than the floor I used to stand on. His gaze held me. It was like he saw every moment of my life in a single instant. The pride I took in my first solo project, the day I married Alina. The foolish arguments, the times I doubted his existence, the times I failed as a father. The secret kindnesses no one else saw, all of it. But there was no judgment in his gaze, no anger. Only a perfect, heartbreaking love and acceptance. I wanted to speak, to ask 1,000 questions, but I was choked with an awe that left no room for words. He turned and I noticed a door, or maybe it was a screen, vast and glittering, like a window into eternity itself. Look, Arthur, he said, his voice soft, but carrying a weight that made my soul sink with reverence. I stepped closer and the world, our world, came into view. Not the peaceful cornfields of Ohio, but something else entirely. Cities were shaking with tension. Crowds were screaming, their faces contorted with a mixture of fear and rage. My stomach twisted. I wanted to ask him what was happening, what I was seeing, but before I could, his voice filled my spirit again. You see, Arthur, the world is on the brink of a great fire. The hour of trial is closer than anyone thinks. The scenery of chaos faded, and I was standing in a place that felt like nowhere and everywhere at once. Before me there was a great crossroads, dusty and vast, stretching out under a somber, cloudy sky that seemed to hold its breath. In the very center of the crossroads stood Donald Trump. His silhouette was unmistakable, but his posture was not one of defiance or confidence. It was tense, shoulders heavy, as if he were carrying the weight of 1,000 unseen eyes. To his left, a wide, paved, winding road led to a towering castle. It was golden, glittering, its spires piercing the clouds. It was a masterpiece of architecture, but it was a cold, arrogant beauty. It screamed power, wealth, control, influence, everything that makes the world bow in admiration. It was the promise of an earthly kingdom, a legacy built to last 1,000 years. To his right, a much narrower, rockier path climbed a small, unassuming hill. At its peak, a simple, rugged wooden cross stood alone. It was old but sturdy, glowing faintly with a light that was not of this world. It represented humility, sacrifice, obedience. It was quiet, and yet there was a power in it, a deep and eternal strength that made my chest ache with a sense of profound truth. I froze, watching as the voice of Jesus cut through the silence, deep and steady. Arthur, look, this is Donald. I have placed him in a unique position, a fulcrum in history that few have ever known. His influence is great, for good or for ill. Before him is a choice, a test of the soul that will shape more than he can possibly imagine. Jesus continued, his voice explaining the vision. One path offers him absolute power, the praise of men, the security of earthly systems, the illusion of control over everything, nations, people, history. It is the path of the world, the other path demands obedience. It is a journey with me. It is a path that may be lonelier, harder, and will be misunderstood by many. It is the path of the cross. My hands were shaking. I had seen Trump on TV 1,000 times. I had heard the debates, the rallies, the endless noise. But this was different. This was raw, real, spiritual. I was looking into the heart of a moment, a choice that could change the course of history. The castle glittered with the promise of earthly glory. But the cross, it held something deeper, something eternal. I wanted to scream, to tell him which way to go, but I couldn't. It was his choice. And somehow I knew it was bigger than just him. It was a choice that would have repercussions for all of us, for what was about to happen on the earth. The air around me changed, as if the atmosphere itself had taken a deep breath. And suddenly the space around Donald Trump at the crossroads came alive, radiant with a brilliance that seemed to pulse with divine intention. 7 distinct beams of light, like spiraling ribbons of living fire, surrounded him. And within each ribbon of light burned an eye. A single glowing, incredibly intelligent eye that shimmered as if it held the depths of eternity itself. They were not frightening in the way one might expect. They were not cold or condemning. Instead, they radiated an intensity that felt alive, electric, and impossibly ancient. I could feel their gaze like a current against my own spiritual form, not burning, but awakening, as if my soul itself was being stirred to a new level of awareness. These were not eyes crafted by human imagination. They were holy. They carried the weight of ages, as if torn from the very pages of the book of Revelation, eyes of glory, of judgment, and of profound mercy all at once. Around these beams of light I caught glimpses, flickers of what might have been living beings, celestial forms, vast and radiant, moving within the light like waves in a fiery ocean. Their shapes defied definition. They were graceful, immense, uncontainable. I knew I was witnessing something far beyond human comprehension. My knees weakened beneath me, not out of fear, but out of sheer, overwhelming reverence. I was standing in the presence of something or someone immeasurably greater than I could possibly fathom. Then Jesus spoke again. His voice was calm but charged with the weight of eternity. His words didn't just fall on my ears, they reverberated through my entire being. "These are my eyes, Arthur," he said. "They are the 7 spirits of God, sent out into all the earth, watching, discerning, searching every heart and every intention. Nothing escapes their gaze, nothing is hidden. Every act, every motive, every secret choice Donald makes in this critical season is being seen. It is being recorded not for quick judgment, but to be woven into my greater, sovereign design. He must understand this. He is being watched not as a threat being cornered, but as a son being offered a mercy, a chance to see, to understand, and to be guided, if he is willing to be guided." My heart thudded violently in my chest, each beat echoing in the sacred silence that followed. I couldn't look away. Those eyes, 7 of them, remained fixed on Trump, but they weren't looking at the man the world knows. They were not seeing the politician, the former president, the celebrity. They were gazing through all of that, through the layers of pride and ambition and hurt, straight into the core of his soul. And then something unexpected happened. One of the eyes shifted ever so slightly. And for the briefest, most humbling moment, it looked directly at me. Then another and another. I froze, a wave of profound realization swept over me like a flood. These eyes weren't just watching him, they were watching everyone. Every leader, every pastor, every influencer, every shepherd of people. And somehow, impossibly, they were watching me too. I felt it not just in my mind, but in the quietest, most hidden place of my heart. A weight settled over me, not heavy like a burden, but sobering like truth. I was being seen completely, fully. There was nowhere to hide, no mask to wear, no excuse to offer. Just me, the retired architect from Ohio, exposed before the eyes of the Holy One. And with that came the unshakable sense that my small, ordinary life mattered. That my choices, however insignificant they seemed, echoed beyond what I could possibly understand. My throat tightened. I stood there trembling, realizing that this revelation wasn't just for one man. It was a mirror held up to all of us, a divine and merciful reminder that we live our lives before an audience far greater than this world. Then, just as quickly as it had appeared, the crossroads faded into mist. A new scene came into focus, sharper and clearer than the last, its clarity almost too much to bear. From the far side of this new vision, a figure emerged. He was tall, poised, and arresting. His presence dominated the space without any effort, like a star that draws gravity to itself. He was handsome, his features seemingly crafted to inspire trust and admiration. His smile was warm, inviting, almost fatherly. But behind that charm, there was something dissonant, something subtly wrong, like hearing a familiar, beautiful melody played just a half note flat, close enough to lull you into comfort, but far enough off to deeply unsettle your spirit. He began to speak, and oh, his voice. It was smooth, confident, laced with the most beautiful promises. Promises of peace for a world at war. Promises of healing for a divided and broken society. Promises of unity for all of humanity. He offered brilliant, logical solutions to economic ruin, to famine, to climate change, to spiritual confusion. As he talked, the world around him seemed to lean in. People in the vision cheered, nations shown on a spiritual map nodded in agreement. Media outlets echoed his words as if they were gospel. It was as if the collective, desperate yearning of all humanity had finally found its answer in this one man. And for a moment, just a fleeting moment, even I wanted to believe him. His words soothed the fears of the flesh. But deep in my spirit, that part of me that had been awakened, something churned with a holy alarm. Then I saw him, Trump, standing across from this magnificent figure. His eyes were locked onto him, unmoving. I saw something in Trump's face that I recognized from the crossroads, a struggle, a powerful pull. Was it admiration, temptation, awe? The atmosphere was thick, almost suffocating, like the moments before a massive thunderstorm breaks. Jesus' voice returned, steady but urgent, cutting through my confusion. There will come a time, Arthur, and it is coming soon, when one will rise who claims to bring peace. His influence will ripple across the globe like a tidal wave, and many, so many, will follow him, for he will offer them exactly what their fearful hearts desire. Jesus paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. Donald will face a test then, a temptation greater than any he has ever known. He will be given a choice to use his powerful voice, his global platform, to elevate this man and join his cause, or to stand firm in my truth, even if it means being cast aside. This will be the great temptation of false peace, the kind that seduces the world with comfort but leads to utter ruin. I couldn't breathe, every part of me felt alert, as if I were standing on the edge of a great chasm. I knew what I was seeing. This charismatic figure was not the savior. He was something else entirely, maybe not the Antichrist himself, but certainly his echo, a forerunner, or perhaps the real thing. My mind raced, piecing it all together, and the horror of it all sank in. Trump's decision, whatever it ends up being, could change everything. It could act as a great catalyst, hastening the hour or delaying it. It could influence nations, redirect histories. The fate of more than just one country seemed to hang in the balance of this future encounter. And then silence. Jesus said no more. But his silence was louder than thunder. It wasn't empty, it was filled with meaning. It was the kind of silence that waits, for understanding, for repentance, for intercession from his people. I stood still, my heart pounding, feeling the immense gravity of what I had seen. This wasn't just a vision, it was a charge, a call to remain watchful, to pray without ceasing, and to be ready. The future had shown its shadow, and it was coming fast. The vision shifts, and I'm no longer at the crossroads. The ground beneath me vanishes, and I'm suspended in a vast expanse, staring up at a sky that's tearing itself apart. The heavens churn, dark clouds swirling like a boiling sea, streaked with flashes of fire that are not lightning. Stars, maybe even planets, seem to wobble in their orbits, their light flickering as if they're about to fall. The earth below is a blur of unimaginable chaos. Winds howl with a voice, tearing trees from their roots. Rivers and oceans surge, swallowing whole towns. The ground itself splits open in great quakes, as if the planet is made of glass. These aren't just storms or natural disasters. There's a weight to them, a divine intentional power that feels alive, almost holy, but terrifying in its awesome intensity. My chest tightens and my hands clench as if I'm bracing for impact. I want to look away, to hide from this terrible sight, but I can't. It's like the air itself is charged with something bigger than nature, something divine. Then his voice, Jesus' voice, cuts through the roar, steady and clear. Arthur, the Great Tribulation is not just judgment on mankind. It is heaven's correction for a world that has strayed too far from me. It is a fire that will burn away all that is false, leaving only what is true and eternal. My throat is dry, my heart pounding. This isn't some distant, abstract prophecy from a dusty Bible page. It's real, unfolding before my very eyes, and it feels closer than I ever imagined. The storms, the quakes, they are not random. They are a wake-up call, a global siren warning that the world is running out of time. I'm trembling not just from what I see, but from what it means. The ground feels unsteady, even though I'm not standing on it. What's coming is bigger than me, bigger than any of us. And he was telling me it has already started. The chaos fades and the scene shifts again. I'm standing on a hill overlooking a valley where the storms still rage. Winds are howling, the skies flashing with an unnatural light. But in the midst of it all, there's a pocket of perfect calm, like an island in a sea of fury. A small group of people, maybe a dozen, huddles together. Their faces are lit by a soft, glowing circle of light that surrounds them like a protective bubble. They are not panicking, they are steady. One woman is handing out bread from a small basket, her hands shaking but her smile warm and genuine. An older man is kneeling, praying aloud, his voice strong and clear despite the roaring thunder. A young boy clings to his mother, but he is not crying. He's singing, soft and slightly off-key, a hymn I recognize from my own church. They are not untouched by the chaos, their clothes are torn. Their faces are tired and smudged with dirt, but they are not broken. That light around them, it is protecting them, holding the storm at bay. Jesus' voice comes again, gentle but firm, like a father teaching a hard, vital lesson. As I have said in my word, because you have kept my command to persevere, I will also keep you from the hour of trial that is coming on the whole world to test the inhabitants of the earth. Revelation 3:10. Arthur, these are my people, the living proof of my promise. If Donald chooses my path, the path of the cross, he too will be given this strength to walk through the fire. Not to be spared from it, but to be upheld by my hand within it. My eyes sting and I blink hard. I had always thought being kept from the hour of trial meant being whisked away, safe from the mess. But that wasn't it at all. These people, they were in the storm. But they were not alone in it. They had something stronger, something deeper, grace enough to carry them through. It wasn't a free pass from suffering. It was a lifeline in the midst of it. My heart is racing, not with fear now, but with a kind of breathtaking clarity that cuts through all the noise. This isn't about escaping. It's about enduring, about trusting that God has you, even when the entire world is falling apart. I look at those faces again, ordinary folks just like me, and I realize this is what true faith looks like when the fire comes. It is not loud or flashy. It is quiet, stubborn, and profoundly real. The storm's roar softens, and the vision shifts like a curtain being pulled back. I'm standing in a quiet place. The air is clean and crisp, like after a hard rain. Before me, the world looks different. Cities that were crumbling are being rebuilt, but not with steel and concrete. There's a glow to them, a righteousness that feels alive. I see people, millions of them, turning away from the shadows of their old lives, from greed, from lies, from hatred, casting them off like old, filthy clothes. It is not perfect, not yet, but it is a great cleansing, a stripping away of all that is rotten. Fields are blooming where barren deserts once stood. And faces that were once twisted with fear now carry a gentle flicker of hope. My heart lifts like a great weight has been pulled off my chest. Jesus' voice comes, soft as a whisper but heavy with promise. After the storm, Arthur, there will be a great revival. More souls will turn to me in that hour than in any other time in history. They will seek what is true, what is real, what is eternal. I blink, trying to hold on to the image. It is not just a pretty picture. It is a glimpse of what is possible, of what is coming if we hold fast. The world is not doomed to burn forever. There is a purpose to the fire. It is a refining. I see a man drop to his knees in the middle of a crowded street, weeping and praying for the first time in years. I see a woman sharing her last loaf of bread with a complete stranger. My eyes sting and I realize I am smiling. This is what he is fighting for, us, all of us, to be brought back to him. The storm is fierce, but it is not the end. It is the beginning of something new. The scene changes again. I'm in a field, the kind you'd find back home in Ohio. A single farmer stands there, his hands rough and calloused, tilling the earth under a sky that is still heavy with distant storm clouds. He knows the rain might come and wash his new crops away. He knows a drought could choke them before they have a chance to grow, but he keeps working. His movements are steady, his face set with a quiet, rugged determination. There is no anger in him, no despair. There is just a stubborn hope, as if he is planting for a harvest he might never live to see. The wind picks up, scattering dust around him, but he doesn't stop. He just wipes the sweat from his brow and keeps going. Jesus' voice fills the air, warm and sure. This is how my people must live in the days to come, Arthur. Doing the work I have given them, loving others, spreading truth. Planting seeds of faith, no matter the circumstances, no matter the storms on the horizon. My throat tightens. I've always thought faith meant big moments, miracles, bold stands, dramatic sacrifices. But this is different. This is the daily grind, the small, unseen choices. Planting a seed in your garden, offering a kind word to a neighbor. Praying for your children when no one is watching. I think of Alina, how she would meticulously mend my old shirts. Or how she would pray for our kids every single night, even when they were grown and gone. That's what this farmer is doing, staying faithful in the little things. Trusting God with the outcome. I'm struck by it hard. Faith isn't always loud. Sometimes its most powerful form is just showing up day after day when the world is screaming at you to give up. My hands clench, not with fear now, but with a new resolve. This is what he is calling me to, not some grand, heroic gesture, but a life of quiet, steady trust. It is humbling, but it is real, and it is enough. The field fades, and I'm standing before a massive door, towering and radiant, as if it's carved from light itself. It is wide open, and beyond it, I catch glimpses of something glorious. Colors too vivid to name, a warmth that feels like the essence of home multiplied by 1,000. It is the threshold of God's kingdom. I know it in my bones, and my heart is pounding so hard I can barely breathe. I want to step through to stay in that light forever. But I'm rooted to this spot just on the edge, my eyes wide and my chest tight with awe. Jesus' voice comes, gentle but firm. You have done well, Arthur. Now go and share what you have seen. The road ahead will not be easy, but the reward is greater than you can imagine. I nod, or at least I think I do. My eyes drift back through the door, but this time I see the world, my world. It's still turning, still messy, with people hurting, fighting, hopping. But now I see it differently. It is as if I have been given new eyes. The chaos, the pain, the choices, they are all part of something bigger, a great and beautiful story that God is weaving together. I see Trump at his crossroads. I see the farmer in his field. I see the people praying through the storm. It's not just a collection of random events. It is a narrative, and I am part of it. My hands tremble not from fear, but from the holy weight of what I am being asked to do. Share this, me, just an architect from Ohio. But standing here so close to eternity, I know I cannot keep this to myself. The world needs to hear it, not because I am special, but because it is true. And that truth, it is burning in me like a fire I cannot put out. The door's light softens, and the vision shifts one last time. I'm looking at my house in Ohio, the old porch swing creaking in the breeze. The garden where my tomatoes are probably fighting the weeds. Alina is there, sitting in her favorite chair, her Bible open on her lap. I see our kids, grown now, laughing over dinner in their own homes. It's so familiar, so real, that my chest aches with a love that is both painful and beautiful. I want to be there to hold Alina's hand, to tell her I am okay. My eyes burn, and I realize I am not ready to leave them behind. Jesus' voice is close, as if he's standing right beside me. Arthur, it is time to return. Your mission is to bring what you have seen to the world. You must share this truth. My heart skips a beat. Return. Part of me wants to stay here forever, wrapped in this perfect peace. But his words settle deep in my spirit. This isn't just for me. It's for Alina, it's for my kids, it's for everyone out there who is lost, scared, or searching. I nod, my throat too tight to speak. The house fades, but the call stays clear as a bell. I'm going back not just to live, but to tell this story, to shine a light in the darkness. My eyes flutter open, and the world feels too bright, too sharp, too loud. I'm in a hospital bed, the same one I thought I'd never leave. My body is heavy, aching, as if I've been dragged through a storm. But I am breathing, I am alive. The machines beep softly now, a slow, steady rhythm. I turn my head, and there's Alina. Her face is pale and etched with exhaustion, but her eyes are wide with something between shock and overwhelming joy. She is gripping my hand so tight it almost hurts. Tears are streaming down her cheeks. Arthur, she chokes out, you're back. Her voice breaks, and she is laughing and crying all at once, leaning over to kiss my forehead. The doctors come in, their faces a mask of professional confusion and disbelief. We don't understand, one of them says, flipping through the charts in his hands. Your vitals were crashing, sepsis was shutting everything down, and now it's like you're stabilizing, rapidly. I try to speak, but my throat is raw. I don't need their answers. I know why I am here. That light, that voice, that call, it wasn't a dream, it was real. And it is burning inside me. I am not just alive. I have been given a second chance. I have been given a mission. My chest tightens, not with fear, but with an unshakable purpose. I see it now, clear as day. I am supposed to share what I saw, what he showed me. A week later, I'm home, propped up on the couch with a blanket Alina insists I need. I'm still weak, but my mind is racing. I have to tell her everything. She's bustling in the kitchen, making soup, but I call her over. Eleanor, sit with me, I need to talk. She sets the spoon down, her eyes searching mine, and I start. I tell her everything, about the light, about Jesus, about the crossroads in Trump, about the storms and the promise of revival. My voice shakes, not from doubt, but from the holy weight of it all. Her face goes still, her hands twisting in her lap. Arthur, that's a lot, she says, her voice soft, as if she's trying to catch up. I can see the questions in her eyes, the flicker of worry. I'm no prophet, and she knows it. But I keep talking, letting the words spill out, raw and real. By the time I finish, her eyes are wet, but she is nodding slowly. I believe you, she whispers. I don't understand it all, but I know you. You are not making this up. That's Eleanor, steady, always seeing the heart of things. A few days later, I share it with some folks from our church small group. Tom, our old deacon, and Lisa, who leads the women's group. They're skeptical at first. I see it in their raised eyebrows, their quick, polite glances at each other. But as I talk, their faces soften. I don't hold back. The fear, the awe, the fire in my bones. Tom leans forward, his coffee forgotten. Lisa is scribbling notes, murmuring, Lord, have mercy. Then Eleanor speaks up, her voice cutting through the quiet room. Arthur does not lie. If God showed him this, then it is true. Her words hit me like a wave, solidifying everything. I am not crazy. This is real. And it is bigger than me. My heart is pounding, not just with relief, but with a new kind of urgency. They are listening. They are starting to see it too. I look at their faces, shifting from skepticism to conviction. I know this is just the beginning. The story must be told. The world must be warned, and we, the quiet, the ordinary, the faithful, we have work to do.